This week I make these personalised Christmas tree ornaments by using moulds that I already had in a slightly different way. Stay tuned to find out how. I have a bunch of random moulds and art supplies from my many previous projects. I thought I could make something unique by kit bashing a few of these together. A lot of this video will be my experiments, seeing what does work and what doesn't. If you just want to see how the final product was made, skip to the time shown on screen. So let's dive in. I mix up some eco resin, and first up I want to try and use these coaster moulds to create the base for the ornaments. This should be pretty simple, they just need to have an extra hole in for the ribbon. I thought straws would be perfect for this, but I don't have any, except these boba straws, which I think are way too big. After looking around, I saw these diamond painting pens and used scissors to cut them into small sections. I pour the eco resin in, trying to keep them pretty thin, and then stand up these mini straws which will hopefully make the perfect ribbon holes. Now I had some eco resin left, so I used it to fill in this letter mould. I tipped it in and spread it out with my hand to make sure it filled all the letters. And I still had some left in the jug, so I poured it into these Christmas moulds that I've previously used for wax melts. I only want these to be thin, so I don't fill them all the way. Once the eco resin was slightly dry, I could use a scraper to clear up the letter mould. And once they were all fully set, I demoulded the Lego men, some cracked but I should have more than enough left to work with, and I also demoulded the Christmas moulds. I always try to make extra, and any left over at the end don't get thrown away but save for future projects. I'll show you more on that in future videos. The letter mould was far too thin and every single letter broke. Because I planned on putting people's names on the ornaments, I did end up giving in and buying a different letter mould, which you'll see later in the video. Now, the next question is how to attach or embed these into the coaster bases. As always, I want to try a few different techniques to try and find the best one. So I mix up more eco resin and pour a thin layer over the base before positioning on the Lego man and the present. I then pour a little more to ensure a smooth finish. Next I try just dipping the embeds into the eco resin to get a thin layer on the back and act as a sort of glue. Once those are set, I give them a test. Not too surprisingly, the thin layer is not enough to hold it on very well, and they came off with minimal effort. The embedded ones are far sturdier, but the extra pour adds a lot to the thickness and weight of the decoration, so I end up going with a third technique. But before we get to that, I have to try and extract the straw from these ornaments, and this ends up being basically impossible without breaking the eco resin. One attempt did work, but I think a regular straw would work much better as it's flexible. I'll do more testing on the next batch. My letter mould arrived and looks far sturdier than the previous one. I also found some plastic pipettes. Yes, I say pipettes and not pipettes. These should make it easier to fill the moulds without getting too messy. Once they're set, I demould them and I'm really happy with the result. Now I just need to do this a bunch more times. I also dug out some more of my random moulds and found a fidget popper that I previously used for resin and these cute bow moulds, so I fill those as well. Now for my third technique for incorporating the embeds. I lay them out so I know how it will all fit, and then remove them, pour a reasonably thin layer of eco resin and put the embeds back in place. These came out pretty well but did not have a ribbon hole. I do however have a clogged up plastic pipette which I can now chop into small sections and use on the next few moulds. Weirdly, even though I thought these would come out easily because they're flexible, they ended up putting up a fight and causing the ornaments to break. I did have more success with these than the diamond pens, so this is my second best option to make the holes. Luckily, I have one more method at the ready, this mini drill. I know this isn't a tool that everyone would have, so the flexible straw might work best for you, or potentially some kind of blue tack or Play-Doh might work. Let me know your best technique in the comments below. Chances are I'm missing something obvious that would be 10 times easier. Anyway, this is my final result. I suggest making the embeds first and then pouring a thin layer to secure them and making the ribbon holes with a mini drill. My main aim for this project was to use stuff I already had to create something new, and I think I succeeded, even if I did give in and buy a new letter mould. Let me know how you've used art supplies in new ways, and be sure to subscribe to see my future experiments. Oh, before I forget, these are designed as paint your own decorations, which is why I left them white. They would make a perfect gift or pre-Christmas activity. You can buy these paint sets from Shein if you want to gift them as a paint your own set, but in the run up to Christmas I'll be uploading a few homemade gift ideas, so stay tuned for more.